Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, and everything in between, everybody. Welcome to our awesome race between Nightdew and Dustygriff, this Swiss round number 2 of the Lali-Ho League. I'm Oscar424, and my my comms partner alongside me is the wonderful Baka Shinobi. Baka, how are you?
Great! I'm glad to see we're starting with a very nice, honest start. And speaking of honest starts, we're honestly starting with Rydia.
I don't see a character. I see a new game. That's it. We'll figure it out.
Rydia, starting at level 1, can use a Dancing Dagger, but her 30 HP might keep her from being able to Yo and use it. She is not the most powerful character. She's desirable from a lot of people because you like to go and have a good anchor, and she starts with a whopping 4 agility, which means she gets outspeeded by pretty much everything.
Yeah,
find a Sylph Summon. Find a Sylph Summon, a Leviathan. She'll go and carry a fair bit. Might not carry you in the Z fight, but she can carry it all the way there if you get the right tools for her.
Right. So go on. We're just gonna talk over each other this whole time. I'm cool with that. It's what Baka said. It's Rydia. She has her uses not so early on, but it is nice to see those objectives. I mean, that's a discount mop with a beard, which it's okay, but that's Cecil though. With the right tools, with a certain sword that you'd sell, so you'd use the X-Cal instead, he can go burr. So hopefully we get an early Cecil.
If nothing else, I think this team is going to want to do ordeals because both those characters become great after ordeals. Cecil, turning into a paladin, can actually use real equipment rather than the Fisher-Price starter set that is the Dark Knight equipment. And Tella gets a bunch of spells that are absolutely amazing, and that makes him an absolutely amazing character for a long time, provided you don't actually rely on him doing damage or anything that involves his stats.
I'm just picturing baby's first Dark Knight armor. It's just a complete chibi set of armor and just like, Mommy, look at me! That's just...
I'm in Edgelord now.
Aw. Edge dislikes that. But I'm okay.
Edge does go and start with something better. Usually.
Not today, though. Not today.
Yeah.
We have that wonderful / awkward sea Neki. So all of our characters, they get a weapon of some kind to start with that they can normally use, and literally nothing else. So normally that spicy boy Edge at the beginning, who's really good, is kind of more of a glass cannon than best boy. So
those ninja spells will still be nice, but I do believe we're still on C standard, so he's not going to be showing up anywhere early. You're going to have to find a key item for it. And if you're finding a character gated behind a key item, you're probably not hoping for Edge, you're probably hoping for Soya.
Yeah, mops are back in action, and mops are the most powerful tool in the free enterprise universe, usually. We do have the food challenge on, so he still has to win quite a few boss fights to get all of his spells, but if we can find an early food that just happens to have nuke, oh boy, Rydia can go somewhere else, or she can take a nap on the floor, and it doesn't matter, because food here and has nuke. If we find the mop to sweep up this seed.
Oh yeah. And speaking of sweeping up, we should go and sweep up our challenges records. We have Nightdew, a very established runner, having gone and come in second place in the first Highway to the Zema Zone, already facing Fleary, and I hear this tournament would definitely be a very favored contender if he weren't going and facing Dustygriff. The man, the legend, the only 2 tournament champion of Dustygriff of Free Enterprise, where Dustygriff has won both the World Series of Free Enterprise and the Highway to the Threema Zone, and having already faced Hosmer Morpheus and Martin Broadcloak, he's definitely paved his path with some stiff competitors, so no one's really happy to face each other tonight.
Yeah, Dusty's definitely dusted off the rust on his game. I mean, just watching him play, it is a work of art, so I mean it's pretty amazing. However, those matches with Pasu and Martin were pretty close. So, I mean, it is possible to defeat the unbeatable if you get really lucky, and and if you get a certain best boy.
I do believe we are officially obliged to say you are not lucky when you roll Team 90 HP, because Rydia, level 1, 30 HP. Edward, level 5, 60 HP.
Woo! That's just, oh man. The only saving grace here is if Edward happens to come with the Dancing Dagger. That is one of the things he can start the game off with. So an early Eddie with a Dancing Dagger could do some work. An early Eddie with anything else, and well, oh boy, we're probably going to be seeing some looting soon.
Yeah, the Charm Harp, despite its name, is not very alluring.
Yeah, and just with puns like that, you're not so charming yourself.
I don't have to rely on charm and charisma. I get to rely on my co-host for that.
I mean, I didn't realize I was getting muted, so Gambit would take over. And as Dia has mentioned in chat, Charm Harps are for one person and one person only. Yang.
The good old back row glitch to go and back row a character. But we do see our runners starting off with Dusty going to the Watery Pass, looting that, trying to find some items, while Nightdew just landing right outside of Baron. Dustygriff is choosing the Watery Pass because it does technically have the better chance for better loot, as we are on T Wildish. What's T Wildish, Asuka?
T Wildish is a weighted kind of randomization. Wild is just anything everywhere, full YOLO strats with the items. With Wildish, it does that, however, it does favor certain areas, certain far off or gated areas, and in this case, the Watery Pass actually kind of counts as one of those kind of out of the way areas. So what you'll see a lot of runners do is go into the first area and then back out, hop into the airship, and head over to the back of the Watery Pass, and you can get some good things, like that white spear that I believe Nightdew just caught. So there would be an early cane online if you could find if this dragoon would jump to it. Ew.
And we have to Kaipo only to find that Rydia is sitting in the bed, so don't know if our runners can be terribly excited to pick up a second copy of her. Maybe if we find a Dragon Lord, we'll be interested, but Rydia is very hard to go and make use of because she does take 1 million experience to get to her good spells, but Damsian seems pretty nice.
Damsian seems fantastic for that Rydia with the Heron Robe, the Odin summoned, I believe that was that a Dragon Whip or a Flame Whip that I saw? Either way, that Heron Robe has been paying off in dividends this tournament. It's definitely an item that I normally don't think of because it goes on female characters and it tanks their magic capabilities, but they go burr. They go burr real hard.
The closest thing we will see to an adamant armor, because you're right, they tank their casting stats by taking 15 away from both white and black magic casting stats. But in return, you get plus 15 to your physical stats, your strength, your vitality, and your agility. That agility number can be real huge.
Oh, yeah, and we see on Nightdew's side, actually, as Dusty's getting the fantastic news about Damsian, Nightdew is heading to the the west side of Mount Hobbs, and since, we do have Missing No as one of the characters in the party, Missing No does get a free summon of some kind. What you want to see here is like a Sylph or maybe a Titan. What I hope to see sometimes is like the Chocobo or the Chocobo. That's just me, though.
I don't know if you can get Chocobo here. I think you can get Ant.
Or a double Odin.
Odin is not your favorite. Odin has low accuracy, only does one thing, and that is instantly kill any enemies, which sounds good, except it doesn't work on any bosses, which is primarily what we fight.
Now, is that true for the bosses that don't have the boss bit, Baka?
It will work on bosses that don't have the boss bit. If you hit, and it is very low accuracy, but that Murasame would be a pretty big hit if you can get an edge.
Yeah, we're definitely building up some great weapons for characters that we have no idea if they exist in the seed. And Baka, why don't we know that every single character is existing in this seed?
But we have turned on Distinct 10, so we see that there's a Kane here on Mount Hobbs fighting a Blue Robe who is going to either be 5 fights or 1 fight.
And it's 5. If you want to use that White Spear Cane, ladies and gentlemen, you have to earn the White Spear Cane.
What's going to go and be rather amusing is this fight's going to give a fair amount of experience just because there's a lot of them. This spot does go and give higher than average experience because the Mom fight is split into 2 parts and you only get experience for one half of it. But you do go and get a good amount of experience with it, and Rydia is going to appreciate that. She's going to quickly gain stats. Looks like Dustygriff has also thrown 2 golden apples on Rydia, so she has 230 HP compared to Nightdew's meager 30 HP. That said, the Heroine Robe is such strong defense that it will probably keep Rydia from going and taking much, if any, damage. We see those misses coming out, and just no damage is hitting Rydia at all.
Agreed. And looking at Nightdew's side, I disagree with it, but that's also biased opinion. We saw Rydia take out Edward, and I was going to ask you about that. I mean, given this situation, you found the gauntlet, you have literally 2 anchors. I mean, what do you just say, all right, this is my anchor right now and roll with it? Or do you just kind of get levels? Because, I mean, with Eddie gets some agility pretty quickly, and Rydia is just there. So what are your thoughts?
Rydia's got the Heroine Robe and the Fire Whip, so she's going to be able to do some reasonable amount of damage early on. Like, 200 damage to a Spirit, which is resistant to fire, is pretty big. And Kane's, that White Spear is going to help him out considerably, but 2 damage dealers are better than 1, and Rydia is going to be a damage dealer for the overworld. I think you accept that your best course of action is to let Rydia be your damage dealer, pick out Edward to be an anchor, or if you're brave like Dusty, keep everyone alive and see if you can roll someone else. You do know that there's a second Rydia in Typo. You can pick her up later and replace leveled Rydia with the low-level one for a fresh anchor.
Yeah, and you can definitely see just with that combination of Rydia, she definitely smells like Tween Spirit there.
I don't know, she seems to be a bit more down to earth.
No, that's Eddie. Just a straight up Eddie.
No, Eddie is one with the earth.
Well, he makes a good rug. A good carpet-ish.
He is a throw rug, though I think that would be Edna's territory usually.
Well, you keep talking, I'm gonna... Give me a hot sec, I gotta...
Well, we have Dustygriff through the gauntlet. Both runners deciding to go and stick with this.
Sorry, I was rolling up a newspaper. What were you saying?
I was just saying that both runners have, in fact, finished this. Dustygriff is leaving Hobbs, might be going to the other side to go and check for the summon. Yep, is landing there. While Nightdew had checked the summon and just walked down the other side. And Dusty's going to see that this is Odin. Does Dusty loot the other side? I'm not certain. You know, Nightdew is charging along to Antlion Cave.
Now, are these chests considered part of the T-Wildish weighted, or are they just kind of since...
These are... They're definitely not the premium. Okay, that tiara is a pretty premium thing to get. That is a very nice... Tiara is probably the best headpiece for a female caster in general. Ribbons are nice. Tiaras give plus 10 to wisdom, give dragon resistance, lightning resistance, and a significant amount of defense. It is a very nice piece of equipment.
Not to mention that Leviathan summon. I didn't realize we were rolling Rydia %.
Yeah, that is a pretty big thing, and Dustygriff is walking past both the Leviathan summon and the Tiara, so Nightdew is going to be set up to have Summoner Rydia online as soon as she has 50 MP. Dusty is just going to go and... Dusty is much more aggressive on skipping loot these flags than Nightdew is, and is going to be hoping to pretty much make up time by having less stuff and opening fewer chests.
Well, unfortunately, he is going to lose some time. Well, no, not so much lose some time with Dr. Dialogue there, so that's a... I'm actually surprised I already did that much damage with the Flame Whip right there, but that's just me being surprised with Rydia not being asleep.
Turns out when you go and almost guaranteed to give your early game characters 3 attack multipliers, they are quite strong. That is what that Heroine Robe does, because with plus 15 to strength and agility, you get 1 attack multiplier every 8 strength, so almost guaranteed to get 2 off of strength alone, and then every 6 agility also gives you an attack multiplier. And do we want second Rydia? If we can get second Rydia.
I mean, do we have the items for second Rydia? I saw we had the Flame Rod, so we do have the Firebenders feed going on, but otherwise...
If you're Nightdew, you have one specific item, and it's called the Leviathan Orb. You do not need one of those summons per character. You just need one of those summons at all, and your team knows that spell.
That's true. That'd be very impressive. Now, my thought is, who would do more damage, or with Leviathan Summon? The current Rydia that we have right now with Heron Robe on, or that level 1 Rydia, well, or whatever level she has to get to for the appropriate amount of MP to cast it without the Heron Robe on, without those penalties.
Definitely the one without the Heroine Robe, because I don't think Rydia is going... Minus 15 to your casting stats is pretty big. And Nightdew is taking that Rydia. Wants to go double Leviathan, surfs up for Nightdew. He's all about riding that wave.
Yeah, that Nightdew is definitely the Sog champ of this seed.
Meanwhile, Dustygriff knows that it's Rydia there and is content to say, stay in bed, Rydia. I might pick you up later, or never again. And
did he check it though?
Yes, he did check Kaipo before. I believe he checked Kaipo when he looted Watery Pass, and before getting back to the airship.
Meanwhile, in chat, there's a chant for Rydia going on. Chad, you're betraying me more than Kane is.
I mean, Kane hasn't had the chance yet. He's only barely been able to go and start stabbing things. Still, stabbing that Dark Elf for lots of damage. Turns out, Dark Elf is weak to holy damage, and White Lance holy damage, pretty nice.
Yeah. And plus, one of the starter kits that our characters get, and actually let's hold off on that to find out what that item is from Fabul Defense, and that's interesting. That is highly interesting. We have Bang Zoom to the Moon access.
Yeah, and something I did miss earlier is Hela's in Baron Inn.
Oh!
Hela's one of the characters that you need, so you want to do this Baron Inn as soon as you really can, just to... Hela's pretty solid, all things considered. All those spells after you do ordeals is a big help.
Oh yeah, and actually seeing Nightline, Chibos, seeing Antlion in that first spot is probably really fantastic for our runners, simply because also is this even. Just because Antlion, like in other places, particularly anywhere that has a lot of melee attack, i.e. look at the moon, that is a terrifying boss. So getting this all the way soon, fantastic.
Yeah, getting him out in one of the weakest spots in the game with only 400 HP is very nice. Here we see Karate, the vanilla fight here, going and remaining. Only does 1 damage to the Rydia with the Heroine Robe. That is probably the only character in this party who is not going to melt instantly after being hit.
Nightdew's probably getting a kick out of this fight right now, as we have Dusty getting ready to check out a certain moon character. Who are you hoping to see up in the Lunar Dais?
Cecil would be amusing. Oh,
jeez.
Double required Baron, and that's the Twin Harp. That is objective number 5 complete for Nightdew, and objective number 1 open for Nightdew.
That is interesting. With that party, would you chase that Twin Harp right now, or would you go somewhere else?
I would do ordeals first.
Oh yeah, with the Tella.
Tella to get the spells, and to get those Rydia experience.
That makes sense.
Because Kane can go and do some damage. Rydia is more positioned to do damage just because she has the Heroine Robe and Flame Whip. That's giving her plus 20 to attack and strength.
See, this is why I like being on comms with you, Baka. You know the smart people things. I know the Eddie Gober with spoon things.
I may have played this game a few times.
Lies.
Oh, hey, look, there's Edge on the Moon. We were just talking about how he is significantly weaker without all his stuff. He's still level 25 and has spells that will go and burn up most of these early encounters.
Now, here's my question, because I believe there was a Murasame found. Did Dusty find that, or did just Nightdew?
Just Nightdew. Nightdew found it on the west side of Mount Hobbs, which the Dustygriff did not go up to.
Oh, it does sound like their chat thinks that we have there's a Schrodinger's chance, and that is a nice shop right there. We have
I like those silk webs.
Yeah.
And the Thor Rages, yep.
That is a definite purchase right there.
equips, going in, casting maximum slow, while Nightdew is finding the officer-soldier fight in the first spot of ordeals.
Yep, and he's definitely taking the route of taking out the soldiers first. So the officer, when he commands his fallen armies to attack, he becomes brave Sir Edward and bravely runs away and hides. Or Eddie can just turn him to stone.
I'm guessing Edward started with some Medusa arrows, or Nightdew went and equipped them on those.
Eddie
That's how you go in.
Charm Harp. So not arrows.
Yeah, that's definitely a good heads-up play. Going and using those Medusa arrows can be very helpful and very potent in certain situations, as we've seen.
Speaking of being useful, we have a bonus round, Baka.
Indeed, as one of the flags in we have set in the vanilla game, you would go to Toria and speak with Edward in the bed there to receive the Twin Harp. That is its vanilla location. You'll notice that none of our runners have gone there because we have changed that key item is no longer going to be appearing on Edward. It is going to be appearing on Demas. Actually, it'll be appearing on Rydia's mother after you defeat Demas wherever Demas is in the entire game.
You know what I really want to see here? I want to see Ordeals giving Hook and then Rydia's mom giving Magma Key. Because I would just find that chef's kiss levels of funny.
I would rather go for the rat tail to the Magma Key, just for the extra insult.
Oh, I love it. Or
Like,
just the alt control. It's nothing in Magma Keys behind Twin Harp. Which would be awesome.
Magma Key behind Harp would be interesting because you may be inclined to try and rush your hook route, but you do know that's an objective. You can get underground, you get levels, you can do the Twin Harp faster. But you can also just discover that, hey, your Twin Harp's going to give you faster and freer underground access. And Nightdew has gotten through that Demas. We'll need to remember to go to Mist after finishing Ordeals.
And for those that run this or are looking to run this, remember, always check your objectives, always check your freebies, and Demas is one of the easiest to forget freebies.
Yes, because you've killed Demas halfway through this spot, halfway through a check. You're going to go and do another fight, get another key item, and then need to remember after walking out of this dungeon in a number of cutscenes to grab it. And Dustygriff killing the Demas quite quickly because he took one of the drain spears he's found and thrown them. It's a great weapon to throw because it is... The drain spear is only 12% accuracy, but it's really high attack power. What's also really high, real high accuracy is the number of vanilla items we're getting this seed, because that's the Legend Sword on Mount Ordeals.
And that is one half of the Forge objective. So I think Gambit's got plans for tonight. Like
yeah,
he's got somewhere to be.
We got Darkness Crystal at Fabul, so that's access to Zeromus. Right. We have Tella in Baronin, which is objective 5, leading to Twin Harp. Also went from Baronin, which is objective 1. When we see what that, if that Cape Magnus goes and gives us a adamant, we are one objective away from go mode.
Well, the thing is, though, do we have what other checks do our runners have for underground access aside from Rydia's mom and Twin Harp?
We don't have any, so one of those has to go and give the way underground.
Interesting. That's
now what would be very interesting is if we find, say, a Golbez Twin Harp that gives the Magma Key.
Ooh. And the reason... Oh, go for it.
Go for it.
Making me do those decisions there, Baka. We spoke about this. Needy.
I talk too much. Someone else needs to go and shut me up for a bit.
I'm okay with you and your puns. They're aside from the really Baka ones, those puns are terrible. But in terms of Golbez being somewhere, there are certain bosses and boss fights that cannot gate underground access. In this flag set, and vast majority of them, they are Golbez, Wyvern, well, there's your Magma Key, Golbez, Wyvern, and Valvalis. So if you see one of those 3 bosses gating a hook, on the overworld, you know for a fact that there is a magma key in a slightly different location, but still easily accessible. But in
The
this case,
biggest
all
troll.
that goes away is Rydia and her mom.
Yep. The biggest troll you can get on that is that they also cannot be your hook route boss. So if you go to a hook route and see one of those bosses there, you know it can't go and be your logical access underground. You could still have Demas spawn in front of them and have them give you the magma.
Oh, yeah. There's always the extraordinarily spicy Demas at Magus Sisters. So the first boss fight in Tower of Zot. So if you have gone through all of the overworld checks and you still can't get underground and you have no idea where to go, chances are you need to head to Troya and you need to be very sad.
I've had that happen to me once. When I was playing a seed that I've specifically made to be only forums, it felt like insult to injury in that one.
Why would you? You only.
I did that because I was curious as to how hard it would be.
What?
In my free private time, I enjoy suffering.
Do you need a hug?
Wait, that came out wrong. No. I just enjoy the seeing how difficult this can be. But Nightdew is going and heading towards that Cave Magnus, following up, not going underground immediately, but instead choosing to go straight to that required objective. While Dustygriff is finishing off the Baron check and is going to be getting their Tella and their Twin Harp.
And while we're about ready to listen to the wonderful songs or tunes of DJ Spoony B, feel free to give some free-hand hugs to Baka in chat, because I think he needs a good hug. Or at least
no pug, only pain.
Fine. Only newspaper for you.
Your disapproval sustains me.
Yeah, and your puns, well, they're punderful. I heard that chuckle.
Dusty is going to Mist. I think they might have snuck into Mist before going to Baron N, but I don't remember. Let's see how I can go and check key items they had on their save screen.
But meanwhile, we have Best Boy giving Best Boy tunes.
And here we're getting the nice, peaceful Final Fantasy IX friendly monsters theme for where when you encounter either the ragtime quiz or one of the friendly monsters who just wish to be fed some form of ore and or precious gem.
Speaking of friendly monsters, we have a Bahamut here, which you can either power overwhelming it, or if you happen to have a Star Veil, you can make this a pretty free fight. Actually, how is the magic here at this spot, Baka? Is it strong enough?
The bigger question is, how is the magic defend? Because this spot has not perfect magic defense, but it has 255 magic defense. And the way magic works, 255 defense is going to reduce a lot of magic damage to almost negligible damage values, except for very hard-hitting spells. 1200 damage from Leviathan is more appreciable than you would go and get from most spells, and there Bahamut goes down, not even casting a Mega Nuke.
Yeah, that was a surprisingly slow count for our little Purple Dragon King there, so... But,
we do still have our Rydia in the center slot with the Heroine Robe and the Flame Whip. Both of those give additional agility. Plus 15 from the Heroine Robe, plus 5 from the Flame Whip. And we do get the Baron Key from this required Twin Harp, so another character check. Probably going to go and be seeing that followed up soon.
And this is what's interesting to me right now with runners of Nightdew's and Dustygriff's caliber. This is gonna sound so weird, but 25 minutes with underground access, and they have not gone underground yet. Even with Darkness Crystal available, at least on Dusty's side. I mean, for Nightdew at least, would he say, okay, this is time to go underground, or would he make that Baron check?
I think he is choosing to go to a Baron. I would personally go and take a check underground to see if I can get some items. Maybe maybe Nightdew is trying to go and maybe snipe a Adamant before going underground, so he can get that Forge off the table and be one objective closer. Or maybe wants to get Cecil as well. Knowing if you can still get Cecil and the Adamant from this check, and then Nightdew would be a way to his arms away from Go Mode, which we know is at Fabul Castle.
Yeah, that's a potentially underground haunted seed. If that's the case.
It could be all overworld, and Nightdew pulling some very nice items out of those chests. Did not get the white spear that Dustygriff has, but found a Gungnir spear, which only slightly worse, and even better, finding a curse ring that is minus 15 to all stats. Why is that a good item, Aska?
Well, talking about agility anchoring, or as I like to call it, completely witchcraft, you want to have, for the Z fight especially, you want to have your character. I can only speak of low agility because I'm not good like Baka is. I'm just here for the spoons. But you want your character with as low an agility as possible. And with that curse ring, you tank all of your stats, including your agility. So you'll see people like Edward, Tella, some green-haired character named Rydia that I've never heard of. Forums, just pretty much at that point you can take any character and put the curse ring on them, put them in the center, and that'll slow them down to the point where everybody else goes a bit faster than Z. And Baka can actually explain it like an actual racer would, because I'm just doing the topical version.
The slightly more in-depth version that Asuka has already covered, but the biggest thing is that there is a cap for how fast you can be. Your anchor is always going to be what we call relative agility 5, so it'll take 5 ticks of the ATB for them to get a turn. Anyone who is significantly faster than them will take fewer ticks, and if they're incredibly super fast, they will only require 1 tick to go and get their turn, so they'll just be able to constantly act. Yeah, if your agility value is very low, the number required to go and get to that point is a lot lower, so your boss can go and be beating you by 40 points of agility. But because you've already set your anchor so low, you have the same number of turns as they do, provided you can get your inputs in fast enough.
See, chat, my explanation of that absolutely paled in comparison to Baka's.
I think it's shown a pretty bright light on this. I think you should go in Moonlight as the resident explainer of the agility system.
It's witchcraft. I'm out. See, I'm trying. You're the king of the puns. I'm the queen of the spoon.
You're the spoony part of our hearts.
Yeah, I just don't put an instrument in my. Well, at least.
Oh no, the spoon goes there.
Hey, Baka. It's not the Cecil we wanted, but it's the Dark Knight we were fighting.
This Dark Knight is probably going to be fine because it's not. Oh, Nightdew is going to try and make sure both these Rydias survives by going through and Cure 2 on both of them. Yes. But this Dark Knight, yeah, he's the enemy. He's what you normally face in ordeals, and if you eventually got through the vanilla game, you realize that you don't attack this boss, you just let him go and Dark Wave you 3 times, because apparently only 3 of those is required to kill Dark Knight Cecil, and then you move on.
It's only 3 strikes for justice, that's all. And with that, we have a Dark Knight completely disappearing. I want to see Cecil. I want to see Cecil use Warp, and then come up from behind us, and now he's a Paladin, and our runners will be sweating.
Yeah, that is going to be very scary. And Dustygriff pulling double Sorcerer Robe out of the 3 chests.
And an Osira summon. I don't know if... Oh, that's even better, though.
Does Nightdew need a fresh Edward? Nightdew needs a fresh Edward because they originally got some
Yes.
experience.
That's actually a really, really Galaxy Brain play on Nightdew's part to swap the Edward for, I hate to say it, an inferior Edward. Just a lower level one, because again, going back to that agility witchcraft, that Edward's going to make a fantastic anchor.
Yep, you do have the curse ring, so you could always anchor with Hela, but always good to have multiple options. It can be very helpful to be able to anchor with Edward to make sure that Tela can get relative agility 1, as Tela can go and cast some very helpful spells.
True, but another thing that I just thought of, so with this flag set, there are possibility of 3 dupes. We've seen 2 of them already. We've literally seen. Oh, jeez.
Well, that is not the key item we were expecting to get us one closer to an objective, but now we have the pink tab, which means we are a hook and an adamant away from go mode, even without Cecil.
Oh, do you go to Odin? Just
I always peek Odin if I am here, not because I believe I can beat them fairly, but because sometimes I can go and steal a free fight, or at least I have information as to what I'm looking at.
Gotcha.
And if you have those sorcerer robes, there's a surprising number of fights you can actually get through with Hela.
Really? Is it specifically sorcerer robes, or is it any type
The sorcerer robe I'm thinking of because if you're dealing with someone like Element, sorcerer robe gives undead resistance, I believe.
Aha.
That will go and double your defense. The spot punches hard, but not so hard that a high power piece of sorcerer robe defense being doubled would instantly kill Tela, so you could possibly sneak through it. Leviathan is going to hurt a lot, but if you get some Star Veils up, you can get through this fight. Because you can reflect back damage and then throw out some of your own with either, say, your Leviathan summons,
or the reset button.
Yep. Nightdew choosing to leave. I'll be curious to see what Dustygriff does, as they have now also gotten their pink tail.
See, with Nightdew going to underground right now, I worry that because he has underground access and he's going to hold off and not go to Fabul until he gets the pan. Why would you want to hold off?
Fabul can technically give you 3 checks. The first check is by defending it from the monsters that were attacking it earlier this season. That I have. Oh, it was a Dark Elf. Defending it from the Dark Elf that is attacking it. A second from going down to the bottom of Sylph Cave and speaking to Yang as he is in the bed. And a third from having the pan, going to Sylph Cave, hitting Yang with the pan, getting a key item from that as well, and then going to Fabul and returning the pan. So you can get one from defending Fabul, from telling Fabul that you found, telling Sheila that you found Yang in the bed, and a third from giving Sheila her pan back.
Oh, and yep, as you see, both members are deciding that they do not want soggy noodles right now, and they're just going to go underground where there's fire and brimstone. And we have Nightdew checking out Dwarf Castle, which it's got 2 boss battles, which one of them could be a little cheeky, but we do have another character check available to us, so we'll see what kind of bosses Nightdew is looking at now.
Yep, I definitely like this because another character check, you could any place you can go and get that Cecil is a good place to check. There are, Cecil's in the seed. You have spied a number of character checks. You're just narrowing down bit by bit where Cecil could be. Though we could live in a lovely trolley situation where Dustygriff has access to Cecil, but Nightdew doesn't yet. In the form of that darkness crystal.
Ooh, I would love to see it. I'm always in favor of the cheeky giant check, just like I'm always a favor of seeing Ogopogo in kind of an annoying spot.
Yeah, this spot hurts. This spot, Big Wave is mean because it does max HP damage. You'll see that all of Nightdew's characters are at half HP because Big Wave does 25% of your maximum health as damage each time it hits, and Ogopogo opens with 2. And then it's going to start punching, and hey, there's those punches. They hurt.
Yeah, and eventually Ogopogo's going to start doing those waves again. It'll alternate between one wave at 25% of your max health and another double wave at 50% of your max health. So it's called the Nope Rope for a reason.
Yep. The script is open with double Big Wave 3 times, do a single Big Wave 2 times, do a double big wave, and go back to punching 3 times and go through that whole cycle over and over and over again.
Way to stick to the script, Baka.
Someone has to.
It sure isn't me, that's for sure. What?
Ogopogo. Also, you'll notice that Nightdew isn't casting those nice summons on Ogopogo. That's because Ogopogo counters any magic with Blaze. Okay, any magic except lightning magic. Lightning magic replaces it counters with weak because it likes to pretend to be weak to lightning.
It's been hanging around Trigger way too many times. But while our wonderful runners are fighting that fantastic little Nope Rope, or in Nightdew's case, has defeated the Nope Rope, quick shout out to all of our runners ourselves. Definitely give them a follow. And our shout out to the Restream team behind the scenes. We have Gambit017 rolling this fantastically cheeky seed, and Escorian doing our tracking. And my apologies if I said that name wrong. Also, speaking of vanilla, I can't even right now. I can't even because is this even. Also, give some love to Baka Shinobi. He is a fantastic runner for Enterprise. I mean, he's been around for, I'm pretty sure, at least like 80 years playing this game. And honestly, one of the reasons why I started like watching Free Enterprise and getting involved in it. So it's an honor to be doing terrible puns and trying to keep up with him. And yeah. So I'm gonna stop fangirling. I'm gonna laugh at Golbez.
Like to say, it's always fun to go and commentate with you, Asuka, as you restream so many of these matches. We get to go and have so many exciting matches brought to us by the amount of pain you bring out from all of the seeds you roll. So thank you for joining me as well.
I know it's my first time commentating with you, so it's I can cross off a bucket list right there, or a bucket list item.
Speaking of crossing off lists, Golbez decided to cross off all the good characters in Nightdew's party.
Oh, that's cute. I mean, especially because we have probably the 5th best white mage Porum in the team now, which I'm kind of surprised that Nightdew took Porum. In a way, I guess. I don't know. It doesn't
Porum
matter.
Replaced the base level Edward.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, Edward can throw Cure 3 pots too.
And Nightdew is choosing to leave, while Dusty is going to stay. We'll see how that works. Nightdew is going down to Feymarch, which is... There is a free key item down there. That could go and be one of your objectives. It could also be the Pan, which could lead to 2 key items. Well, multiple key items at this point. It will lead to the Darkness Crystal and 3 items we haven't seen if we get it here.
And Dusty's gotten a little bit better luck with Kane and Tella being uneaten, I guess. Still would have been nice to have that Rydia up, I think.
Kane might be able to go and survive if we lit 3 over 2 HP on killing Tella with that virus, but if this lit 3, okay, Starveil goes off, Dusty is probably getting through this. Kane has a white spear. Golbez is weak to both fire and holy attacks, so Kane is going to do significant amounts of damage to Golbez, and Golbez is going to be reflecting his kind of meager spells back to himself, though his, as we've seen,
Oof.
you don't have all of your HP like that Ogopogo likes to make sure you don't. It's very easy to die to these even low-powered spells, but Dusty is through Dwarf Castle. It's going to have another check up on Nightdew, while Nightdew received the Earth Crystal from Feymarch.
Yeah, that is 2 free character checks, so, and just kind of sitting there saying hi. Let's go check that out. So hopefully we'll get a Cecil soon, because they're running out of character checks.
Yeah, and
honestly,
CPU in one slot, dolls in the other.
I'm a sucker for the dolls, the Toad strats with Cabrera. I thank you to Boss Morpheus for teaching that to me. Could you explain why you could cast Toad and be effective against these bosses?
Well, let's go and talk about why. Oh, goodness gracious. Before I get into that, Dustygriff finds the adamant from Dwarf Castle.
Oh,
That's
no.
bad for Nightdew.
That is
What could
bad.
be good for Nightdew is the fact that these dolls, only half of them have this thing called the boss bit. Or they just get washed away by Leviathan.
Yeah, works too.
But the boss bit prevents status effects from working. The back dolls, the cowl dolls, do not have the boss bit. You're only getting a glass set. Nice piece of equipment, not what you need.
Not the adamant.
Ow. Nightdew is unfortunately looking to be in a bit of trouble here, as he doesn't have the Darkness Crystal Dusty has, and he wiped on the fight that would get him adamant, so he is unlikely to be returning to Dwarf Castle anytime soon. He really needs the Earth Crystal to give Cecil, go there immediately and get the hook from it, because that's one of the only places where we can get a 2-for-1 objective remaining. I think that's the hook is the only other thing if you find the rat tail, and that leads to... Well, no, you find the hook, and the hook goes and gives you Cecil.
Honestly, I would really want him to get Pan right now, because we all know, well, everyone except Nightdew, we know the Darkness Crystal's at Fabul, and Nightdew is clearly fading Fabul. My guess is he's hoping to find that Pan. I don't see him going to Fabul until he has that Pan.
Well, Nightdew just went and spoke with this young in the bed, so he is going to Fabul. He is going to get the Darkness Crystal, so he'll catch up like that. Ooh, Dustygriff does find a ninja shirt in Feymarch. And this Sheila 1 check that maybe Dustygriff is going to fade for a while, because maybe he wants to go and rush that Earth, that Tower of Zot, and try and find the Cecil, because he's only one key item or one character away from Go mode.
That's true. It's like once Dusty gets his Earth Crystal, I mean, how quickly does Dusty beeline to Earth Crystal, knowing that he effectively just needs that Cecil or that hook?
That
does he take on Feymarch?
I mean, Earth being a 3-for-1 definitely is tempting to Dusty, I think. As it's 2 shots at a character and 1 shot at a key item. It is 2 bosses, but math seems better than running to Sheila and only getting running to Yang and then talking to Sheila for only 1 item.
Agreed. And since we've already seen 2 dupes, we only have room for 1 more. So the odds are in our runner's favor that they're going to find a unique character, and well, one of them is Cecil. We're not kidding here. There is a Cecil in this seed. We don't know where.
Yes, we are. The seed cannot go and produce one without Cecil. It absolutely is not allowed to do that. So Cecil has to be somewhere. He could still be in the giant, and it could still be an elaborate troll, and we could go and have Nightdew finding a key item. Maybe he gets the Pan from Sheila 1, goes and gets the package and the hook turning into the Pan, which gives him everything he needs, as Cecil's at the package, but Dusty is definitely in a much more secure position.
Especially finding those Bacchus wines. Did not validate the seed, but that's okay. He's got places to go to right now.
Dusty is going in to check Sheila 1, so not leaving that open for Nightdew to try and sneak in either way. Nightdew is ahead on that check, but he is down in adamant, which puts him behind the 8 ball.
Especially if this gives hook. That's going to be devastating.
The Luca key, that is... There are worse items to find. The Luca key, that lets you get to Sealed Cave, where you can walk through the entire Sealed Cave without encounters, thanks to the fact that Free Enterprise you can turn off encounters, even those annoying trapdoor encounters. See what the item is, see what the boss is, and decide if you want to go and take that.
And you mentioned those doors, thinking about the various grinds for our runners once they get into their grinds. The doors are an option, but you usually like to find sirens. And I don't know about you, Baka, but I haven't seen any sirens in shops yet.
I haven't seen them either, I believe. Which, there are a number of ways to try and grind. You can go and take random encounters on the moon. You can take moon bosses. You can go and try and fight a whole bunch of random enemies. But there's also some charts and manipulations for grinding that I don't think we'll see because... Well, why don't you talk about that a bit, Asuka?
Wait, what? I was just reading chat. Don't mind me. What am I talking about? What am I talking about?
Why we probably won't see a D machine grind.
Oh, God. So, okay. There is a flag that I'd like to think it's because of Prima Zone. Called Vanilla Giant. Yeah, that laugh pretty much confirms it. So in previous tournaments and whatnot, going to the Giant, you could get a D Machine grind and a Mac Giant grinder. Certain grinds on the Giant that were really easy to do, pretty easy to set up. I mean, we had runners figuring out how to get past can't run. Like everyone's super smart and they're able to get these grinds really quickly. Well, we decided to change that. Vanilla Giant requires that if you enter the Giant, you are stuck in that Giant until you are completely done with it. But that being said, I'm going to hold off on finishing that explanation because now we have everyone's favorite game of Rate That Nerfed Treasury. After we deal with the boss of the items.
Definitely interesting things out here so far. Rune Armor Mute Knife is actually quite nice. Multiple Heroin Roads and a Power Shirt. I think Dusty's happy with that.
That's actually one of the best treasuries I've seen in a while. Heck.
Yes. There is one thing holding it back. That is the Max Tier 7, or Max Tier 6, excuse me, which prevents it from having Tier 7 items in chests. That is a new flag that was added with the most current update, so that you can't just randomly find the amazing stuff. You have to go and something for it.
Or just find a curse ring in a silk web.
Oh. Dusty, there are some items that Nightdew was ahead. That curse ring being a big one, Dustygriff has found his own in the open Toria treasury. That is a very significant find, as that opens up a lot more anchoring options for Dust.
And you mentioned those not finding the tier 7 items. What are those? Like the Crystal Sword, the Masamune, and what else?
There is the Bahamut summons. Those are tier 7.
Okay.
I believe white shirts are tier 7 because those are very powerful.
Because there's not many of them, but the ones that exist in the seed are, well, very strong.
Yes, that Crystal Sword, like the Excalibur and the Crystal Sword. Oh, speaking of Excalibur, there's objective number 4.
Oh boy. So right now, if this is not the hook, this is catastrophic for Nightdew.
Yeah, for Nightdew, his main hope of coming back into this is for the Luca key to have the hook.
Or So, how about Tower Zot? That's those are characters that exist in this seed.
That is.
Oh.
Here's the great thing about this. Both our runners delayed going underground for a bit. Both of them know that they could have had this Earth Crystal as soon as they went underground. And, both of them took a shot at Dwarf Castle. Neither of them went and prioritized that Magma Key as soon as they found it after clearing ordeals. They instead went and did Twin Harp, which was not low, but not exactly the fastest theme ever. So they both know that they've had access to the objective number 4, which Dusty knows is the last objective he needs, and a Fusulia to go and run roughshod over the rest of the seed.
And
I don't think either run's going to feel good.
What's even more devastating for Nightdew is, did you see the sword that Nightdew Cecil has equipped?
Is it a Slumber Sword?
Sword.
Oh.
So we are comparing a Slumber Sword Cecil to an Excal Cecil now. This, I'd almost say, even if this is the hook, that's going to be devastating because, I mean, Dusty has an Excal. Unless this is somehow Crystal Sword and they don't sell it.
Pinktail, Crystal Sword would go and put Nightdew back into this.
Yeah.
Because I have a feeling that Dustygriff would not go and turn in the Pinktail, as they will have 4 objectives once they get that Cecil. They'll go and get their Crystal. They will have, I believe, 10 key items. Yes, the Crystal will be their 10 key item.
That's true.
If this is a hook, then Nightdew will also have 10 key items because Nightdew's missing the Adamant, Hook goes in to 9, turning the Pinktail gives him the Crystal, that takes him to 10.
Ooh, this is This is going to be the next couple checks are going to be very, very interesting. Like, I mean, Nightdew, it would benefit him to go back and fight Dwarf Castle again. I mean, with this party, he should be fine now, even if Fu gets taken down.
Yeah, Dwarf Castle is probably the next best, though. Nightdew knows. Well, he is only looking for one key item, but that Luca key might be tempting him more.
Yeah, that's. Oof. So let's see what we've got here.
And saying goodbye to Rydia, she has outlived her usefulness.
That is a sword. That is an Avenger sword.
Oh, that's nice for Nightdew, but it's even nicer for Dusty.
Oh. Yeah, if you ever want a free berserk on your characters to go burr, the Avenger sword is quite a nice find. However, there's an interesting feature to Free Enterprise in terms of maybe swapping out your currently equipped weapon into that Avenger sword. Baka.
Yeah. In Final Fantasy IV, you can change your equipment, but the game won't be able to update it until you take an act. That's just how the game requires. You need to do something that says, all right, let's see what you have. Oh, you no longer have your bow and arrow, you have a sword. So we're going to go and have you start swinging the sword and use those stats. The Avenger does two things. One, it's sharp and pointy as a big sword. Two, it automatically makes you berserk whenever you're in combat. So if you go and switch to an Avenger while you're in combat, you automatically start swinging provided there's nothing else happening. And the game never checks to see if you changed weapons. It says, yeah, you started this turn with an Excalibur equipped. Oh, you're berserk now. You're now swinging with an Excalibur, right? You're a swing with an Excalibur. You couldn't be a swing with anything else. And now you have an Avenger on Cecil and Excalibur in your inventory for whatever you feel like doing with that.
On a side note, I love seeing Leviathan get hit with Leviathan. Oh,
nothing will make you feel more washed up than seeing your younger, better self.
It's like taking a walk down Ocean Avenue. But that's actually a very spot-on play that Nightdew did do with that's unfortunate. Checking for a quick cheeky hook at the Odin spot. Unfortunately, it was just a moon veil, and it sounds weird saying unfortunately it was just a moon veil, but
Nightdew needs a hook or to go back to Dwarf Castle and get the item. There are very few things that can be done. And Dusty is doing one of the things that's definitely going to get him a victory. He is going to that sealed cave because while those trapdoors are incredibly annoying, they're also real good experience.
Yeah, they have... What is the name of the ability again?
Disrupt.
Disrupt.
That is
Thank you.
Instant death.
Yes, but what it does is it'll target an enemy or target a character first. So it targets and then the next attack it uses disrupt. However, what you can do is you can cast wall or use a star veil, some way to reflect that disrupt off that targeted character. So what happens when the door casts disrupt? It hits that wall, it bounces onto itself, and well, it casts instant death on itself, as you'll see Dusty showcase in a clinic right now. Use a search targeted Tella. Dusty immediately, well, actually, no, good point. Lets Tella die.
I think it is tricky because I think you need a character on your side buffering an action. If someone had that Avenger, I believe that would go and force it to buffer and allow you to cast your spell.
That's a good point. And sure enough, yeah, that door does not want Tella alive right now. But if they were to use that wall strat, then trapdoor would instantly die, and then boom, you're done. You have your grind. It's not the fastest grind, but considering we haven't seen sirens, and I haven't really seen hourglasses or mute bells or anything. I mean, this is pretty much the best option for our runners right now.
This is, in fact, the best option we have. This is 60,000 experience, it looked like. And Nightdew is also coming to the sealed cave. Our runners are in the same location. They're going to high five, but they're here for entirely different reasons. Nightdew is looking for something to keep him on. Nightdew needs a hook here. Nightdew needs the hook ASAP. And he needs that hook to give him a crystal sword because he is losing time to Dusty. As Dusty is powering up and getting stronger because Golbez didn't kill didn't leave Dusty with the worst 2 characters on his team like he did for Nightdew.
Yeah, and that's just, it's one of those things where, you get randoed. In that case, the coin flip was in favor of Dusty, not so much of Nightdew, and there's not much you can do about it, unfortunately. And especially with someone like Dusty, any single mistake that you make against Dusty can punish.
Yes.
That being said, Nightdew has done a fantastic job in this seed. It's mind-boggling how fast both of these runners are going through this right now.
Yeah, we're not even an hour in. Dusty's in Go mode. Nightdew suffered through some bad RNG and is making the best plays from it. Mm-hmm. He knows that it can't.
Oof.
Going back into Dwarf Castle is kind of a death knell from Nightdew's standpoint because it could very well not be one of the 2 items to have to finish the seed. That's a very reasonable thing. It's not guaranteed. It's not super likely. And Nightdew is he's going. What? Nightdew is playing with our hearts. We know from our privileged position, he needs to go to Dwarf Castle and get that adamant, and he will go and be in Go mode. He's got the moon with 6 checks, 7 checks, a lot of checks.
Yeah, you can't fault that logic. I mean, there's a high concentration of chests or chests to check after or boss checks in the chests after you beat the boss checks. I got nothing. Words are hard stuff and things, but it's just there's a lot of unanswered questions on the moon. And I mean, in this case, well, we found out moon not required, and not even a little bit here. But there's such a high concentration. Plus, we haven't really seen all of the free bosses. I mean, we haven't seen King Queen, we haven't seen Water Hag. Nightdew might be thinking, hey, there might be a really free boss that I can just bang out real quickly.
Yep.
So, yeah, I can't for this.
Yeah, and from Nightdew's perspective, he has to play as if Dwarf Castle has nothing, because he can't go and give up the time it takes to go through Dwarf Castle again to Dustygriff. Dustygriff is a very good player. He is not someone you can just give up that time to. He has to gamble that Dwarf Castle doesn't have it. It's unfortunate that we know that's not how things are working out. But that is the correct decision from how the seed has played out for Nightdew.
And you know what another check we haven't seen our runners do? Top of tower.
Yeah, that's another good point. That is another Earth check that could go and have what we're looking for. And it would go and give a lot of things. It could give something nice to our runners, but it is a long walk up and easy to not do that. And Nightdew just sold the Murasame for an edge, we know is...
Oh, no.
This is probably something that Nightdew is going to feel a little awful about, too, because he's going to see that Griff has had access...
Probably this whole time.
Okay, he's not going there yet. Also, I just realized Dustygriff has access to an edge. Edge can go and steal sirens from alerts. So, Dusty is probably choose to store ground because he only wants to get some experience on the party, but not an extraordinary amount.
Ooh, yeah, that is a very good point. Especially if as long as the flag is not on to protect or prevent Edge from getting those sirens, there's a lot of really nice items Edge can steal. Like Bacchus wines, sirens, more Bacchus wines, more sirens. But I mean, if you
that is either leg or elements.
Who would you rather see there? I know no is the correct answer, but
with Fasoya and Cecil, if you have any crystal armor for Cecil, I would rather go and have elements there. Cover strats. Actually, you have a moon veil. You can go and cover strats with Cecil and reflect kill element with fire 3 or nuke.
Also, Baka, did you know something? You can leave out of the right side of the whale. Did you know?
Yes.
That is my one. Today I learned piece of info I love giving people. But Nightdew, he's gonna get the bad news and see a very, very sad ninja.
He might still take him for the sirens.
That's true.
Does he have it? Does have a curse string? He got it in the Toria Open Treasury.
Yes. And then I believe there was another curse ring. Nightdew found it fairly quickly. That was in Barren Sewers, I think.
Yep.
Barren Basement, maybe.
First three, the three chests together in the Barren Waterway.
Ah, yes.
But Nightdew is going down to the lunar core. Is another rude thing for Nightdew after not getting that adamant means that Nightdew is at 9 key items, so he's not even going to be getting double experience for the first set of fights here.
Yeah, and that's unfortunate because we have a fun little glitch of sorts in Free Enterprise or Final Fantasy IV where it's a flag. It's definitely a flag. Where at 10 key items, you get double XP from every fight you take, which is fantastic if you want to get a mass influx of XP really fast. On the flip side, there's normally another nice pickup of XP where you can do a slingshot, where I believe it's you're the accountant, the median, the mean, the average.
Yes, the five levels behind the median party level, and you're required to have 5 party members.
Right. So normally, if that's the situation that's there, you can get 4 times as much XP on those particular slingshot characters. Unfortunately, well, slingshot's a little bit too strong in the LHL, so that flag is turned off. However, the 10 key item bonus XP flag is still on. So yeah, that 1 extra key item on Dusty side, making those doors fantastic amounts of XP right now.
Yep, and Dusty has decided that they have enough experience and they're going to be heading out. So I'm guessing that they're going to be going to Mysidia, going to jump in their lunar whale and be going into the lunar subterranean themselves. Oh, it looks like they need to go and pick up something from the coal shop, maybe?
I know there were Zeus gauntlets, I think a protect ring, and 2 other items of some kind, or just having a quick fire sale.
That is definitely a fire sale, all right.
Oh yeah. So we're picking up quite a few things here. Keep that drain spear though. I stand corrected.
Yep.
Oh, that ribbons. Okay. Actually,
3 Zeus gauntlets.
Okay. We
plus 10 strength in the accessory slot for anyone who can equip it. Which hey, we've got 3 people who can equip that. The ninja, the dragoon, and the Cecil with the big holy sword.
that is not just a Cecil Gober team. That is a Team Gober team. Oof.
Zeromus is going to go and be experiencing a very special day in March.
Yeah, Z will definitely be putting the Z's to good use after Dusty is done with that fight. Oof. But meanwhile, we do have Nightdew cutting up some sushi over on the lunar side of the LST. Didn't quite catch which dais this was, or the altar. Maybe I know Odin was nearby. So we have.
This is the I believe Odin was at the plague altar, and this is the ribbon altar.
Okay.
Which you would like to go and complete the plague fight, the fight at the plague altar first, because that spike gives markedly less experience than this ribbon spot. The ribbon spot does give 2 key items. It's also 100,000 experience, which if you get a key item from that plague spot first, that doubles Nightdew's experience.
Okay. And is the plague spot considered easier than the ribbon room, or the white spear altar considered easier than the ribbon altar if you put, say, the same boss in both spots? Like, what is the difference between those?
I need to go and double check the magic power, but I would definitely go and check that. But I think Plague Altar has higher magic power. They might have similar physical attack.
Okay.
Plague Spot has markedly less health because one of the valid ways of getting through Plague is just DPS race them and hope you don't die.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I don't like Plague. But I have the worst luck with Plague. But you can see you. Go on.
I was to say, well, but with Plague you can go and abuse that agility system to make countless of a thing.
Or I can just say, hey, Baka, do you want to control my game while I play?
You have a curse string, you have a Tella, you go and put both those things together in the middle, and then you just circle up the rest of your party.
But that requires effort, and I'm making the decision, because you won't, to have you do it for me.
I have done that so many times that it stopped being a decision.
The decision to be indecisive?
I'm making the decision not to decide.
But then, isn't that indecision?
No, I'm very decisively deciding not to decide. Just like the moon decided to give a Stardust Rod and a Drain Spear to Nightdew, as Dustygriff unfortunately walks right past that room and is heading down, and we are getting some very interesting looking flags. Are they in chat?
Yeah, I'm gonna need like 30 minutes lying down to kind of comprehend that indecisive decisiveness that you threw down on me there, Baka. But outside of that, there are a total of not 525, 526 different sprites, because we can't move Zeromus. He's stuck there. So what we do is we change these appearance. And the wonderful thing is we don't get to know what he looks like until we fight him. But before that, Baka has to ask a very important question.
Indeed. Chat, whose butt are we gonna kick tonight?
I hope it's vanilla.
I hope... Oh. You know, I am still partial to Trombone Mist because it is such an adorable sprite with the... It's just cute and adorable, and definitely not what Nightdew's fighting on the other side of the Ogopogo altar of Valvalis.
You know, bugles are usually hard to chew sometimes, but to chew through that bugle, that takes a cane. Oh, look, there's a cane. Hi.
I might not want to go and open that up just because when Val's not spitting, she punches more, and those punches hurt here.
And we have one of the hardest final bosses for one of the hardest games in existence, especially if played on hard mode. We have Scaramus from Lion King, or the Lion King.
That game, from what I understand, is suffering incarnate.
Yeah, you've met Baka.
I had a Super Nintendo.
Gather around the void.
I didn't go and play that specific platformer.
I didn't have a Super Nintendo, but I had a Game Gear. And I played it.
On my Game Gear, I kept getting stuck in the Defenders of the Oasis.
Well, that sounds like a you problem.
What sounds like a not-so-Dusty problem is that Tella is the one who took the counter nuke, and I don't think Dusty is terribly upset about that.
Yeah, no, that's going to be a pretty nice thing to see. Meanwhile, Nightdew is, well, not seeing anything anywhere near as nice.
Nightdew is valiantly fighting through this Valvalis fight on the moon at the Ogopogo altar, and is...
That's not much damage for how much you need to chew through. Whew.
Yeah, that's... Oh, the Viridias are trying.
Yeah, well, there's your first and second problem. What's the magic defense like at this spot?
On normal monsters, not so bad. On Valvalis, really bad. And I think those Viridias might have heroin robes.
Oh, yep, that would do it. Oh, yeah. I mean, with a super high magic defense spot, would using like a Meteo or a nuke, would those even get through?
This one might have perfect magic defense while Valvalis is spinning, so you might not even be able to hit Val with a spell. When Val has 256 magic defense, that's perfect magic defense, no magic hits her. When Val has 205 magic defense, that's just really high magic defense, and that takes off 255 magic damage from every roll of your spells.
And chat did mention that it is a 255 magic defense spot.
Ah. So, yeah, okay, it's 255 and 254, excuse me.
That's sad trumpet noise. That's sad trumpet noises there.
What's a little sad is that Dustygriff is going and doing a lot of damage, but Skarmus appears to have returned the favor and almost killing everyone. Hopefully Fusoya is going to be able to heal up the team fast. And oh dear.
Well, we do have rocks, so he is calling in the wildebeest stampede right now.
Bright side.
But we did have a very dodgy edge, and yeah, that Cure 4 pretty much seals the deal. That is a brilliant dodge.
The two people who really needed to dodge. Well, one person and one of three who need to dodge, and there is Skarmus down. Dustygriff seals the deal with a first place finish with an official time of 1 hour, 10 minutes, 27 seconds. GG's Dustygriff, who I believe has just joined us on this call.
GG's, Dusty.
Thank you, GG's.
I mean, how much whiplash did you get from how fast you went through that seed?
It was a lot of interesting decisions to be made through a lot of that seed, and it felt pretty good for how much I had to end up doing on it. The intro didn't feel super good going through a gauntlet at like 2 minutes in, but it felt necessary. But yeah, that was a pretty interesting seed to play through, honestly.
I have a lot of questions, but first I want to there is a piece of information that has been revealed that when Nightdew full looted the Antlion Cave, he found a tiara and a Leviathan summon.
Ooh.
Would that have changed your opinions on what characters to add to your party if you had found them?
I mean, I probably would have picked up that second Rydia, then I would assume, from that Sand Ruby, because I just skipped that because I really didn't have anything for second Rydia and no summon to really deal with that. Because really, that's honestly that Rydia with the Heron Robe and Flame Whip was my damage for a long period of time. But
yeah,
there were some very, very spicy chests. I mean, or just very spicy checks in general. That Earth Crystal, that had some value there.
Just a little bit of value. I like when I got that, it was very much like, oh, I saw those like dolls down in Feymarch, and I was like, do I deal with this? Like, I have to heal my party. I kind of still want to go do Sheila 1. It was, yeah, it kind of was too good to pass up because of the double character check and key item. And yeah, I feel like I looted entirely too much on this seed, but I was so long looking for a weapon for that silver dagger edge that I had forever. But hey, he did some pretty good work on Zerovis with a middle sword and a mute knife, so you know, it's all right. But yeah, lots of interesting, weird choices to be made there.
Yeah, and the treasure check just came through, and seeing you with 83, that's impressive.
Yeah, that's a lot more than I'm accustomed to on this flag set. And honestly, I tried to just route in any sort of really quick chests that I could pick up along the way. I didn't go out of my way too much, but yeah, it was like added up pretty quickly as the seed went on.
That's you definitely, when you saw that you had the Earth Crystal in the open treasury that led to the Cecil and the Fusoya, where you held off going underground and checking that, did you feel nervous about that at all?
A little bit, but not too much, because where Baron gave me that, I think Baron gave me Adamant, the payout was enough that it didn't matter too much to me. Like it would have mattered more had I gotten nothing from that Baron check, and I would have been sweating probably a bit more. But that was not. It was a weird check that I was like, this is kind of good to do here. It's kind of between me going underground and do Dwarf Castle and me going and doing Baron, which is a solid 5+, 5 to 8 minutes sort of thing. So if I'm doing that and someone else isn't, then and there's nothing to gain from it, then it's a pretty bad check. But luckily, I felt pretty good where that paid out, and I wasn't sure if Nightdew would or wouldn't bother with it. So
So right now, I mean, you're 3-0. You are the second person to hit that wonderful number. And I mean, what are your thoughts going through this Swiss run? I mean, you have faced some very, very tough competition, and you've won. Like you're doing great. Like, what are you just sticking to the regimen, changing things up? I mean, how are you going to keep that winning momentum going forward?
I definitely feel like I've gotten more into a momentum with this flag set because every flag set is different. I play pretty similarly across a lot of flag sets, but there is routing choices on this flag set that's quite a bit different than say ZZ3 or whatever else. I'm getting to a pretty good comfortability level now. I'm still working out the rust a little bit for some of like my plays, but I feel like throughout most of this seed, I probably played as good as I have the whole tournament or better. So I'm feeling pretty good. Feel like I'm getting back into the groove of things a little bit. So yeah, it feels pretty good to start off 3-0. Considering I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do going into this tournament, like totally feeling totally out of sorts. But once I started getting into the groove of practicing again, it's all coming together.
Can't possibly imagine what it's like going to a tournament thinking, man, I don't know how well I'm going to do since I've not played nearly enough for my liking for the past several months.
Yeah.
I was just terrified when you said, "Oh yeah, I still have some rust to get to dust off." I'm like, what? Where?
It's there. It's there. I swear.
It is always an absolute treat watching you run, watching you practice, compete. I mean, anybody and everybody can learn so many things watching you just work your way so clinically through seeds. It's an absolute treat to watch and commentate. So GG's again, Dusty.
Hey, thank you.
But Baka, did you notice anything on that spoiler log?
I did. I believe our chat pointed out where the hook was.
Do you remember when I mentioned a certain play that neither runner did?
Dusty, how do you feel about Keyless Tower?
Ooh.
Or turning in a pigtail from the hook from Keyless Tower.
Wow.
Yes, I will go and say one thing that... what do you think would have been the worst combination of characters to get on that Golbez fight at Dwarf Castle?
Oh, that's interesting. You mean for left up after the demolish?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that Tella was one of the worst you could have certainly had because it was just and I guess Iridia probably for HP purposes, but
would you like to give the fun news, Baka?
Nightdew decided he wanted to have a white mage, so he took Porum.
Oh yes, Porum was there. I forgot that. Of course.
Yeah.
110 HP Porum, yeah.
110 HP Porum and the non-anchor Tella, unfortunately, were the two characters remaining alive for Nightdew, and after Golbez decided that he wanted to go and bully the party, Nightdew made, honestly, the correct play of saying, alright, I have to go and assume that this is nothing because I can't go through that again.
Right.
And he faded Dwarf Castle.
Yeah, that feels pretty bad. That feels pretty bad for sure.
Would you also like to know who was the Ogopogo altar boss?
I would. I'd love to.
It was Valvalis.
Oh, no.
It's one of those you'd love to because you didn't have to fight it.
Right. Yeah, Moon was like one of those plays on the seed that was there for so long that it was like hanging over your head. But it's just there's so many other decent choices on Earth that I was like, I can't bother with Moon. I don't know what ugly bosses are going to be up there. And I'm glad to not deal with Valvalis any day. So
yeah, it was impressive just seeing how long, and I even mentioned just 25 some minutes in, and neither of you had gone underground. You hadn't gone to the moon aside from to check the character, and that was it felt bizarre in a way,
Right.
but it made sense for the routing you did. But it was just like, this is okay. I'm here for it.
Did have a lot of options. Speaking of options, when you saw that early edge on the moon, what were your main thoughts?
I was like, oh, great. And then for the next 25 minutes, he made me check way more chests this season than I would ever bother checking in any. And then, well, I did have 2 drain spears for him to dart, and that did great work. It felt pretty good. But other, he was sort of helpful, I guess. The zero, well, he was helpful in the Zerubus fight, I should say. But other than that, yeah, it's pretty unfortunate that it's just like, oh, here's a ninja for you. Here's a silver sword, a silver dagger, and a sharp claw. Deal with it now.
I do have one last question for you, and I mean the nicest of ways.
Oh, jeez.
What made you choose to go and grind in Sealed Cave over Stealing Siren?
Rust.
There's the rest that Dusty needs to get off.
And also, I was like literally at the last door, and I was like, why didn't I just go to Moon and do some things on the Moon to grind? I was like, that's probably enough experience as well. I didn't even think about stealing sirens until I finished the seed, which I was like, afterwards, I was like, oh yeah, that's a thing too that I haven't done in 6 months. But yeah.
Yeah, to be fair, that got turned off for pretty quickly for the amount of Zemus play, so I don't blame you.
Yeah, I did appreciate the Coco Forge fire sale and get those 3 Zeus gauntlets there at the end.
It was pretty nice to be like, okay, here I have 215,000 gold. Give me some Zeus gauntlets, thank you.
Not very often you see 215,000 gold in general and then see it spent immediately.
Yeah. Yeah, it just totally went out of my inventory immediately. But yeah, it felt pretty good because Zeus Gauntlets just they add a nice little edge.
Oh. So I'm going to add insult to injury for something I just saw on Nightdew's side. So that keyless tower that had the hook. Do you want to know where there were sirens available?
Oh boy.
And coffins.
And coffins.
Oh boy. All in the same spot. Eh? I mean, just setting it up for you. Alley-oop.
Setting up in the cave. Just
apparently, the ninjas are financing the reconstruction of their castle by going into Eblin and stealing sirens.
Yeah. Pretty much. And then just selling them.
They just put them in the shop. Look, have you seen the state of their castle? It is real bad. They need to go make a lot of money.
I mean, it's a great open room or open world environment here. So, got plenty of sunroofs or no roofs. What counts? Right.
Is it a skylight if it falls on you, though?
Is it a skylight if there isn't one?
Anyways, Dusty, I believe we've kept you long enough. Thank you for joining us. Congratulations on your win.
BT dubs.
Any final thoughts before we let you go for the evening?
And regain some semblance of sanity.
GG. Thank you both for commentating this one, and Gambit for restreaming, and the whole restream team on this one. Appreciate it. And GG's to Nightdew. Really, really great race. I was really excited for this one. I'm sure it was a good watch. I'm excited to watch it back. And yeah, looking forward to the next round. GG, everyone.
GG as well.
Oh, that was finding that hook on Keyless Tower, that it hurts my soul cavity.
It really, the poor Moon just never gets to go and show off how cool it can be, because the key item is decide that no, we don't want to go to the Moon. That place is haunted.
It's too cheesy. Oh well. Or giant, for that matter. Just Darkness Crystal, not really needed anymore, apparently.
Darkness Crystal is your taxi to the Zerumus.
The long way. That's more of like a bus, just with all the different stops. At least with the pass, you can just go point A to point B, and it's problem solved. But
It's a
Heck.
scenic route. You go and get to have the ambience, the great music that
That
you know.
wonderful monochromatic stuff.
Look, just because every single time you go and get out of an enemy encounter, the game is definitely blasting as hard as it can that, yes, this is the theme that you just opened the game with. You know,
It didn't think you remembered after playing for how many hours. It needed to remind you, Baka.
exactly. After every fight.
Yeah, over and over again. It's the song that doesn't end. Yes, it goes on and on, my friend.
I mean, this one ends pretty constantly. It's interrupted by random encounters. It starts very frequently, though.
Yeah, I'll give you that one. But it's fun, quotation marks, and enjoyable, and I haven't needed therapy for it.
See, any remake that goes and fixes it, I just feel bad because no, where's the trauma for going and getting into an encounter? I want to go and have that bum 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 bum. Oh wait, no, you're awake. All right, let's go give you an encounter, and then let's start again. No sleeping in the moon.
Can we make that audio clip the actual Scala's here? Scala, can we make that audio clip of Baka singing the song part of the game? Can we make that a harp song? Like, don't even turn it into harp music. Just like MP3 that in the game or whatever audio file you need.
I don't think that's going to go and fit on the
Wire
SNES.
that in the game. Oh my gosh, that would be fantastic.
Scala, we're looking for new ways to traumatize poor players.
Yes, no, maybe,
I don't know.
possibly.
Question.
I mean, we haven't been muted yet, and we were on a tight leash by Gambit, so we survived. Maybe,
Kind of.
kind of some. Or we could try just to see how far we can push this.
Nightdew's about to start grinding, so, you know, oh wait, he might be going to save.
Baka! Baka! Get with the seed! He was grinding sirens.
Oh right, he grinded the Sirens on Earth. I assumed he would do it here so he'd have extra levels, but my mistake. I was distracted by all the lovely comments we were having, chatting with Dustygriff, and talking about music.
Is that what we're calling your singing?
I mean, there are other words to describe it, but they're not exactly kind words and words that we should say on this channel.
A feast for the ears, much like Skarmus is going to be a feast of Z's.
You know, that's a rather generous way of saying discordant cacophony.
I was trying to be nice to you for a change.
I mean, that is a pretty nice way of putting it.
Yeah, don't get used to it.
But here, Nightdew is going and charging into the Z fight with their not nuke level Iridias, but no, and the unfortunate poor Nightdew.
That was...
Dustygriff was able to buy 3 Zeus gauntlets from the Kikol shop that is currently sealed up because Golbez was real mean to this party.
Yeah, that it's just one of those things of rando than a rando.
Yeah, that was. It is very unfortunate that was such a major turn in this seed because again, Nightdew is a very strong player and was keeping ahead of Dustygriff in those checks. Just a little bit better RNG for Nightdew on that fight. And Nightdew doesn't go and get rabbit holed by going to the moon, checking, trying to go and see if he can get a hook from anywhere, only just back on Earth.
Buck, I'm going to warn you, this is going to be a long shot, but this might be my crowning moment, okay? Are you sitting down?
I don't know if I'm sitting down enough.
You're not. I mean, just the... Nightdew has taught a lot of us about just the unfortunate side of randoing. It's like making, between the two of them, it's like making a pair of Chaos Theory decks with one using tutor effects. That's all I got. I had to look that one up.
Ah.
I tried, okay? You want to talk about a narrow strike range? I have been trying to fit one of those in, and you know more about it than I do, so I just found it and I ran with it.
You know, those tutors are not exactly the most angelic thing, right?
No! So I just ran with it!
You did refer to the cavity where your soul was. I think we know why you have that cavity now.
I call it a Chaos Learning Center.
You know, that's rather appropriate for what you paid for it. And speaking of paying the price, Nightdew is going and taking a Berserk Rydia and an Ashura casting Rydia with a Cursed Ring Fusoya, I'm guessing, into the Zeromus fight, and trying to punch his ticket with Ashura.
Now, will this cause any counter? Well, not like that. Would that cause any counters if it hit with any cures on the party?
Nope, because nothing
is.
Yeah, nothing is hitting Skarmus. It is only hitting the party. It is.
So if it was like a Sylph, then yes, it would be countered. Would it still
Yes,
be a nuke counter?
Depends on the phase of the fight. Early on, you would go and get nuke counters, because it's only after the HP refill where Zeromus switches over to the full party virus counters, I believe.
Okay.
And for those who are curious as to exactly what I mean by that, Zeromus is a unique fight in the fact that he cheats. Granted, this is Super Nintendo, and, you know, the Skarmus probably cheats very hard to go and win those fights. But the way Zeromus cheats is that he completely refills his HP after doing a certain amount of damage. To prevent this from taking forever, they change his script so that instead of going and refilling his HP again, he just starts throwing out nukes and changes his counters. And after he gets down to 12,000 HP, we'll switch to a final script of just throwing meteors at the party and hoping that they hit.
Now, with a heroin robe on Rydia, is that going to be a good way to counter it, or is because it's Meteor is a magic attack that heroin robe isn't going to help with countering or help with dodging?
There are two ways to approach that.
Jeez.
One, Magic Evade, you get a number of chances based on 32 combined Wisdom and Willpower, which Heroin Robe takes 30 away from, so you're probably losing one Magic Evade. The other is the Heroin Robe has pretty good magic defense and magic evade, all things considered, and it still gives you plus 16 and 15 agility, which every 32 agility goes and gives you a magic evade.
Oh. See, that still falls into that witchcraft that runners like you can just... There's that info, and I'm just sitting here going, whoa.
Some of us go and do silly things like play solo Edge Seeds, or solo character seeds in general, and then go and decide that, you know, I want to just, even though I'm a single character party, want to clown on Zeromus in as many ways as possible. Did you know Ninja Sure Edge at 69 agility is really tanky for Big Bang?
All I have to say to that is, nice.
For the reference, Zeromus has that level of agility. That puts both Zeromus and Edge at relative agility 5. And then you Silk Whip him, so he is twice as slow. Speaking of slow, Zeromus is slowing down as he is throwing rocks and hoping to not die, and only hits the Paladin.
Well, that's nice. Especially with... I really don't see Scar getting or Z getting enough chances to throw Meteor to actually take out our characters right now. And yeah, just like that, Fu and Cecil are saying nope to those right now.
And only... Okay, so Cecil must have gotten a black hole and needed Rydia to take her turn. Because it seems that both of them have both Kane and Cecil have Avengers, but they you need to get back to the character's turn for the game to say, oh, you're berserk. We thought we took that off, but no, you're berserked again, so take your hit. And speaking of taking your hit, Kane takes the final hit of Skarmus, and Nightdew has finished with an official time of 1 hour, 34 minutes, 59 seconds. GG, Nightdew. I believe we're joined by them in chat.
You definitely ninja'd right in there. Hi, Nightdew. GG's.
I mean, I ninja'd right in there, but, I mean, I kind of tossed him off the moon, so...
I don't blame you on that one. Alright, Nightdew. You know what we're going to talk about.
I mean, the moon is already haunted. We've kind of been through this already, but... Yeah, the one thing, it's like, I'm playing Dusty. I can't afford to waste time at all. And when I wiped out of Dwarf Castle because Golbez killed all 3 of the members who could feasibly survive a cast in that location. What a jerk. I'm like, okay, let's seek my fortunes elsewhere. If it's here, I probably lost. And I said that way too much for underground checks. I'm like, if it's the top of the tower, I've lost. If it's Dwarf Castle, I've lost. Turns out it was both.
Yeah, that was really, really unpleasant because you literally got the worst party remaining you possibly could have had.
Yeah. And it's... No one faulted you for making that decision to not do... or not go back and fight Dwarf Castle again. It was the smart play. And it was a case of randoing. And you still... to finish that seed as quickly as you did was absolute bonkers. I mean, like there is nothing to be ashamed of in that race at all. Maybe having 2 Rydias I have issue with, but still, like you did
you know, I'm gonna say there was 2 Rydias at Zeromus. Both of them were at less than 1300 HP, and both of them contributed.
Yeah.
That's another question. You did go and pull out that Leviathan summon, which Dusty did go and miss. What were your thoughts when you found the Tiara and the Leviathan orb in Antlion Cave?
Well, I mean, that's telling me, first off, that I have a caster switch sometime down the line with the 1 Rydia I have. That's enough for me to generally say, I'm gonna keep her for a while. Then I roll in with a Sand Ruby, find Rydia number 2, and I'm like, well, this Heroin and Flame Whip is doing some work, so why not?
Now, what were your thoughts about once you got the hook and you saw just that absolutely stacked Eblin Cave shop? I mean, pretty much everything you could have needed or wanted for a grind was right there.
Yeah, I mean, but by the time I did see that, I had known that Dusty had done the dot done there, and I had actually more or less assumed that either he had done that or probably more likely 1200 in it.
Dusty grinded in Sealed Cave.
Ooh, trapdoors, very nice.
Yeah, he had slightly better luck with his Golbez fight, and that honestly was the difference. I think, if I remember correctly, Nightdew, I think you got to Golbez first.
That's correct. You got to Nightdew first, or Golbez first.
I mean, that's very good to hear. Yeah, I have no problem. Again, I have the utmost of respect for Dusty. So, I mean, losing to him is definitely, not a black mark in anybody's book there. I mean, it sounds great that I was still ahead at that point. Again, it's, I made a choice. I figured when I took the Darkness Crystal up to the moon, I'm like, this is a gamble, and it is going to make or break the seed. Because against Dusty, he's too good to not just kind of have to fire up the Gamble-matic just a little bit to overcome. And unfortunately, the rando did what it did. But I feel like I played my game, and I have no problems with it whatsoever.
Yeah.
How were you feeling when you had 2 objectives done and half of the remaining 2 by the time you finished Overworld?
Hoping that it was buried behind some kind of chain, to tell you the truth. my 1200 HP strategies are not the best in the world, to tell you the complete truth. And I know he has some of those, so I'm thinking, okay, let's just let's put 2 things up on the moon. Let's kind of get our grind as we're going here. I mean, Moon's a wonderful grind, anyways. Not so much with how rude that Moon was, though.
Yeah, I mean, props to that Valvalis fight. That is a rude boss in a rude spot, and you handled it so well. Like, GG's, if nothing else, GG's on that fight alone. That was impressive.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I don't really have much else to say on that. I mean, you're gonna take one here or there, and we'll just head out to round 4 and hope for even more Radiism, I see.
Well, that sounds good. I guess, any final thoughts before we let you on? I know you had an unfortunately harrowing seed, but it was a very well-played seed until just... you made the correct decision with Dwarf Castle.
Yeah, I mean, just a shout out to, again, you guys for commentating, the production crew, everybody running this. Thank you. Other than that, GG again, Dusty. Well played. I hope to see you in the brackets. Provided to make it.
See you there. You're definitely of that caliber of player.
Absolutely. Just watch, like I said, watching you play, yeah, you are absolutely amazing at this. So I would be surprised to not see you in brackets.
All right. Thank you very much.
Take care.
Have a great evening.
All right, Baka. Guess what?
We're doing another race?
Well, we aren't. I mean, we're probably going into the shame corner.
Fine, that's fair.
Yeah, I know.
We
kind
may have gotten a little too rambunctious on occasion.
But we did potentially get the Restream Team Sings the OST soundtrack up and running. So,
I have no idea.
I mean... Oh, don't... Yeah, we gave Scala ideas.
But speaking of ideas, if you have the idea that you'd like to see more pre-Enterprise, stick around because we're going to be sending you over to RPG Limit Break to watch another race. Please do not spoil the results of this race, as some people may be looking forward to watching it, but feel free to tell them that it is a fantastic race to watch.
Agreed. We are going to see Ground Flyer versus Lady Id. But again, quick shout out to all of our featured runners, Nightdew and Dustygriff, and the Restream team. I can't talk anymore! Myself, I'm FF4FE, the absolutely amazing Baka Shinobi, the restreamer of the Century Gambit 017, and the amazing tracker Escorian. Oh my gosh, I keep putting a T in your name. I can't read either. Escorian. All of them are absolutely amazing. Give them follows, give them loves, and if you are interested in finding out more, keeping up tabs with everything, check out the website for the Lali-Ho League or our Discord. But with that being said, we're heading over to RPG Limit Break. Y'all have fun. You spoil, you get the bonk. Bye.
Have a great evening.